that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this Degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
But really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to this here special guest episode of the Degen Roundtable. I am your host for tonight. My name is Will Stevenson. I'll be running the logistics for the show, but joining us, we have two fantastic special guests, and we also have our co-host, Mr. Nate McGettit. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm an iron worker that travels around the States, and in my free time, after building TV towers and radio towers and things, I also like to talk cryptocurrency to degenerates such as yourselves and these fine gentlemen right here. Joining me tonight, like I said, we've got Nate McGettit, the ascending man down there. Nate McGettit is one of the networkers for the Degen Roundtable. He goes around and talks to people and meets fantastic folks and asks them to come on the show. And he goes in and dabbles and figures out what's going on in all the different parts of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Also, we've got Dr. Chen, our resident doctor, a good friend of mine in real life, as well as in the streaming world and in the online world as well. For those of you guys that remember, Dr. Alan Chen and Corey Geary have both been on our show before. Dr. Alan Chen, for those of you guys that don't know, is a pediatric radiologist, and he also likes to help unplug people from the matrix that is the modern hospital and pharmaceutical culture that we live in here in the West. Corey Geary is a fantastic investor man, both in the traditional finance space and in the cryptocurrency space, and he does a podcast. Him and Corey and Dane. I can't remember the name of the podcast. Forgive me. You'll have to shout it out when I
DeFi Crypto Alliance.
It's written right there on your screen. I should have looked at that. But yeah, he runs the DeFi Crypto Alliance, and they give folks some fantastic advice of everything in having to do with life. What we're focusing on for the show today is about fitness, nutrition, peptides, and other such things of that nature. We'll also we might very likely have Captain RG3 joining us here in the near future. We will see. We're in contact with him now, but so that would be really cool if he's able to hop on and join us. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Starting with my fantastic co-host, Mr. Nate McGettit. What is new and exciting with you, amigo? What's going on, bro?
Oh man, just working like usual, just hopping in and out of stuff. You know, I actually legitimately moved all of my Solana over to Ethereum. I'm 100% out of it. There may be an Ascending Man video coming on why I did that and why I do suggest that other people would be doing that as well. Because guess what? Solana sucks now. We don't like it anymore. And now it's time for Ethereum to take off. And even though it's the third cycle curse, which is a problem, right? I've already talked about that before. It still has juice in the tank. Okay, it's going to be taken off, which then the real alt season will begin. We are late, guys, but we are still strong. Hold and believe, because we are about to have fun times.
I don't mean to introduce the times around the horns, but we just got word that the captain has joined us. He is here being added right now. Boom. Captain RG3, ladies and gentlemen. So I've introduced the other fantastic gentleman. Captain RG3 is a fantastic Hexagon streamer and peptide enthusiast, and also health and fitness enthusiast, as we have learned in past streams recently. So welcome, Captain RG3. We're just going around the horn, introducing ourselves and talking about what's new and exciting with ourselves. So I'll go ahead and toss it over to you, then I'll toss it to Dr. Alan Chen, then Corey Geary. Captain, what's new and exciting with you, bro? How you been? I hear you got a conference coming up in the near future. Also, we cannot hear you. Oh no, this is no good. We're doing the sound checks. This is proof that we do it live, ladies and germs. Whatever you guys, whatever we hear, sounds coming from RG3's mic, that's when we will know. Ooh, I heard a clicking noise. That's a good sign.
Maybe
I'm not
a
sure what's
plugin
going on.
issue there.
While we wait for Captain RG3, let's go ahead and toss it on over to Dr. Alan Chen. Dr. Chen, what is new and exciting with you, amigo? How are you doing?
Well, I just learned today, years old, that I need to look at my Solana because I still have a bunch, apparently. So I'll have to watch that episode that Nate, that you had posted. Anyway, other than that, though, I think one thing that people don't really know about me is that I do a lot of stuff outside of medicine. So my travel season will start very shortly. I kind of took a break from it for a little while because it gets overwhelming at times and tiring. So I had a nice break from it, and now heading back to Asia the coming week, and got some stuff to do outside of our U.S. border. So some exciting projects coming up, exciting content as well, and then obviously with the channel, there's plenty of stories, endless stories. I mean, I have no shortage of possible content that I could put up in the health sphere, and also with what's going on Trump administration, as well as all the other craziness that's going on. So there's plenty more to come with that, and we can talk a little bit about that today as well. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff, and just never a dull moment for me.
I like it. New travel and more content coming on in the near future, and we'll make sure to let the folks at home know where they can find you towards the end of the show. But it's good to know that they can folks can check up on your travels and also see what you're doing as far as like the medical information and things. Captain RG3, can I get a quick sound check from you and see how our sound's working?
Check 1, 2. Am I in?
Yes, we got you. Excellent. Corey, I'll toss it to you since we got Captain off mute already. We'll go ahead and give it to him. Captain RG3, what's new and exciting with you, amigo?
It helps when you put the mic on and turn it on too.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, everything's great. I'm in Portugal right now. Getting ready to come home in the next day or two. Get ready to do the Vegas event. Sold all my Hex for Bitcoin, so I'm back in Bitcoin. Everything's going great.
Oh, it's very.
You don't like the better Bitcoin?
yeah. No. It's Bitcoin's the word now. So I was told to get out of that Hex crap and get back into Bitcoin. So.
For the folks at home who might not know who you are and might not know that you're like one of the premier Hexicans, I presume that you're joking right now. There's some folks who've probably never seen you before in our comments and things. You're having a laugh now, aren't you?
I am having a laugh. Yeah.
Hashtag not financial advice.
Yeah.
You guys were dumping your coins. I figured I'd have to say something at least so I fit in with the group here. But yeah, no, I'm still a Hexican, dyed in the wool. Sold my Bitcoin years ago, and I am a Hex only. So yeah.
Excellent.
But real excited to be on the show. I didn't know there was going to be a doctor here. That's very intimidating. Coming in and talking about things that doctors know about, and being an armchair quarterback on it. So yeah, hope we can learn something actually. So good to have you here, Doc.
You'd be surprised at how much little doctors know. We can go into that a little later.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Now, Dr. Chen's a super cool and awesome person. I'm super stoked that we can have all you guys on the panel. Speaking of all you guys on the panel, let's toss it over to Mr. Corey Geary, who's been patiently waiting. Corey, dude, what's new and exciting with you, amigo? It's good to see you again.
Man,
Glasses.
Thanks for having me on. What's that?
The glasses are what's new and exciting.
Right, man. But man, I'm blessed, bro. I am truly blessed. Just super happy to be here with you guys, man. We are on a mission, the DeFi Crypto Alliance. We are on a mission to have health and wealth. Obviously, all you guys know about the wealth situation. That's what we're using cryptocurrency as a tool for wealth creation. But you need health too, man. And that's why we're going to talk about today. I'm super excited too to hear what the doctors got to say about some of the things that we do and implement into our everyday practice. Man, yeah, it's just an awesome journey to be on. I'm truly blessed every day to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, excellent and outstanding.
And I did not sell my Hex. I have a lot more Hex. In fact, maybe I might have bought RG's Hex. I'm not sure if he was selling it for Bitcoin. I might have bought some, but I'm like 98% RH ecosystem. So
that's a good percentage to be. I like it. I approve. I think
it's pretty high.
I don't know if I'm quite competing with you there, but I'm certainly very close. I'm very fond of the Richard Hart ecosystem, and there's other things that exist too. Like I know that I need Ethereum to unstake my stakes on the ETH network, but yeah,
it's cheap right now, bro. ETH is cheap.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now is the time to buy, folks. If you're
Oh.
looking to buy some cheap assets, then like that Bitcoin's going down, Ethereum's going down, Solana's going down. I don't know much of anything that's going up right now. Maybe maybe hopes and prayers are the only things that are going up, but we'll see.
I'm buying some
Let's
right
go
now.
ahead. What's that, Alan?
I'm buying some right now.
Live on
there
the
you go.
call.
Yep.
Yeah, live on the call.
We're doing it live, folks. We do it fucking live. And speaking of things that we do live, we're going to go ahead and do some chat motherfucking shout outs, the part of the show where we make sure to shout out all the folks at home that are oh man, I'm just running out of words right now. That are just so interested and love us so much that they're engaging with us and sending in the chats. We love each and every single one of you guys. Those of you that are watching us ninja style without the chats, and those of you that are watching and chatting, we appreciate each and every one of you. But the ones that are chatting, we like to make sure to read your chats out so that way you guys know that we appreciate you and your interaction. So, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and pull up the first chat in the chat shoutouts. It looks to me like we've got Mr. Ken Turian 54X. Good to see you, amigo. Our favorite pilot farmer dumbass. I don't like the dumbass part. We're gonna have to find a new title for you to put on Telegram, broski. But he says last, so I'm not sure what he's referring to here. But it's good to see you, Ken Turian. Welcome, welcome. By the way, I'm gonna be rolling down. I'm leaving up here in Washington on March 2nd, so I expect to be rolling through your neck of the woods either on the 2nd or the 3rd, Mr. Kenturian. So we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some good times. So good to see you here in the stream, amigo. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah,
Next
Will,
up
I
in the
think he said last because he made that comment at 2:00 today.
Oh shit! Yeah. So he was not he was not the first in the chats. I know that
Literally
I had it
5 hours ago.
I had a comment in here that StreamYard doesn't even show, but I posted a comment to like the smash button like last night at midnight or something like that when I saw this stream was scheduled and things. So it's good to see you, Mr. Centurion. If I was the first and you're the last first comment, then this is excellent. But next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got a good TRT amigo friend of ours, Hexagon Lost in Asia. TRT for life. You're absolutely right, bro. TRT is a fantastic product. I don't take it quite yet, but I presume that at some point in my life, I will be hopping right on that bandwagon along with everyone else. So I think it's great to keep your virility and keep your ability to like go out and conquer the problems that is masculinity, like all throughout your entire life as a man. You know, the natural thing for men to do is you wane and you wane and you wane as you progress through life and your testosterone goes down. But I think it's really cool to just see like everyone turn into basically like old Viking warriors and do all that great stuff as they age through life. So you're absolutely right, Mr. Hexagon Lost in Asia. TRT for life. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got Luna C Point. Hey gang, with the little heart sign. Hey Luna C Point, it's good to see you, amiga. Welcome to the stream. Glad that we could have you here. Luna C Point, not classic, a freaking community member from long ago. Man, I'm just running out of all sorts of words today. I cannot think. She's a loyal DRT community member. So it's good to see you, Luna. Welcome to the stream. Next up in the chat shoutouts, another good real life friend of mine, Mr. Moonpilled Rational Optics. What's up, gentlemen? What's up to you too, sir, Mr. Moonpilled Rational Optics? Cheers right on back to you. We're going to have a good talk today. We're going to be covering lots of fantastic health and nutrition information. Next up in the chat shoutouts, our favorite, the cryptocurrencies, Julian from Trailer Park Boys, Mr. Funkmaster Hex with the drink as always. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you too, sir, Mr. Funkmaster Hex. Love to see you, broski. After that, we've got the Brown Conservative Capitalist. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you too, Mr. Brown Conservative Capitalist. Good to see you on the stream. I think I recognize you from last time when Corey Geary was on, or a time or two before. But it's good to see you again, broski. It's been a while. Next up, we've got Tracy G. Good evening, all. Good evening to you, Tracy G. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad that we could have you. And I think is that a Milady NFT? I'm pretty sure that that's a Milady. Shout out to all you guys that own those things. And then finally, for the chat shout outs, we've got Miss Amber Simon. Miss Amber Simon, hello. It's good to see you, Miss Amber Simon, another real life friend of mine. Glad that you could make it to the stream, and good to see that you are interested in cryptocurrency stuff. So this is fantastic. We're full of our show is full of super awesome people today, and we're super stoked and happy to have you guys all here. Mr. Nate McGettit Broski, before I toss it to you, I want to remind the folks at home, just like Mr. Moon repilled Rational Optics said, smash that like button, like that smash button. Make sure that you guys click on that little thumbs up down there in the corner. That's the only thing that I'm going to ask you to do now. I only ask one thing at a time. So hit that like button and let's get on with the show. Nate Broski, I'm going to toss it over to you because you have some fantastic questions for these beautiful, beautiful panelists for stuff for us to talk about today.
I do. And I'm actually going to throw this one right over to Alan Chen, being the doctor that he is. Now, obviously, peptides are kind of like sort of the main thing that, RG, Corey, you guys really love talking about it. It's really helped you throughout your life since you've discovered it, and it have made you overall healthier, right? But, obviously, peptides are not exactly the most common thing to talk about. So, Dr. Allen, when you ask somebody, what is a peptide, right? What is this thing? Could you explain to the audience what a peptide is?
So peptides are short chains of amino acids. So if y'all remember from, I took biology in 9th grade. I don't know about you guys, but the high school biology, then the amino acid is a building block to generally a protein, but there are also smaller versions of proteins that are called peptides. You can almost think like a protein is more of a complex complex set of peptides put together, so to speak, and they have different functions, probably more structurally. But peptides are often they're just short chains of amino acids. That's all they really are. So oftentimes they are found naturally in the body, and what they're used for in therapeutics and medicine is to jumpstart processes that normally happen in your body, but for whatever reason, they're not as quick as you want them to be. So for the most part, your body won't reject them because they would recognize what they are. But it's kind of a sort of a more natural way to go about things versus a drug, which is not made of amino acids for the most part. Most drugs are just kind of like chemicals, as for lack of a better term, or their chemical structure. So you have like benzene rings and all this other nonsense. I'm going back to, I don't want to get into organic chemistry, but they're not peptides, obviously, all the pills that you take. So peptides sort of mimic normal functions in your body. They're generally obtained from, it's usually a human or an animal. And they can act as kind of the accelerators for certain hormones, certain neurotransmitters, certain growth factors in your body to speed that process up. So the reason why they've gotten so popular is because they actually work. And I think on the last stream, I may have misspoken on one particular thing about peptides was that they have a low side effect profile. I meant to say that they don't get rejected by the body. So that's one thing. So you tend to not get allergies to them, but there's some side effects. Some of them are desirable, some are not desirable. With anything that you take, no matter what, you got to weigh the risks and benefits. It doesn't matter what it is. But generally they're fairly well tolerated, but there are obviously some exceptions. The biggest one would be the GLP-1 antagonists, the Ozempics of the world. Those can have some very undesirable side effects. So just about what level of risk you're willing to take versus what benefit you want, and you obviously want the benefit to be much higher than the risk. So not all therapies really meet that criteria. So that's something that you have to do your own research and also listen to your body to figure that out for yourself.
Well said. Yeah. Basically, like in looking at what peptides are, just like the TLDR that I kind of remember in my head, because you're much bigger brain than me, right? I need to like TLDR this stuff. Is basically like it's a chain of amino acids that connect to whatever parts of the body that you want to like either start a process which is going to make you either stronger or heal you. And that's ultimately what they're for. Now, depending on which amino acids, obviously, there's going to be different effects for it, right? I know there's some that's like it helps you focus more, up here, which is something that maybe I need because I'm ADHD as all hell. And there's also ones that like help heal scar tissues. It helps kickstart. What was it? your metabolism better, so then
Mhm.
this makes it easier to lose weight, things like that, you know. So it's really fascinating and actually the first time we ever heard about this was actually you, RG. You started talking about peptides. I think it was when we were in New York. You were talking to us about that, and that was the first time we had ever heard about it. And that really started kind of like a chain reaction of like, what is this? We need to really go look at this. I know Cassie has gotten on some right now as well. Mrs. Producer, she's gotten on some, and you know it's been working pretty decently for her. But we're starting to hit a point now of like, you know, maybe there's different or more ways we could use them, things like that. And I've started kind of going down that rabbit hole. So yeah, RG, if you want to go ahead and just tell us, like, how did you find peptides, and when did you decide that, yes, this is the path I'm going to take, I'm going to start taking these? And yeah, how is it, like, what has been the result for you?
Well, I'm the old man in the room, I'm sure. At 57, you know, the real world truth is your body changes significantly once you start hitting 40, 45, 50, 55, coming close to 60. You know, if you look at an infant, you know, an infant needs mother's milk and it grows like just insane, right? So their bodies are very efficient at taking nutrients and using those amino acids and the insulin response and using it efficiently to make the body grow, develop, become strong, all of these things. And as you get older, those systems start to break down from environmental issues, from food issues, the overeating that we do, the weight gain, inactivity, all these things start to mess that system up. And as you get older and older and older, that system just gets more and more bogged down. And, you know, when I started, you know, success reading, trying to make myself a better human being, mind, body, spirit, you know, finances, relationships, all that kind of stuff, still challenged in all of them, but always trying to make myself better. I started to discover that, you know, the number one thing that wealthy people said that they would change, billionaires were asked, what would you have changed in your whole life of all the success? They all said the same thing. I would have taken better care of my health. So I've been focusing on my health for some time now. I've done better at times than I have, and now I think I'm really dialed in, especially with the science that we have out today. And I think that one of the big factors about peptides that we don't talk enough about, and you did tap into it just a second ago, is what they are is they're little locks, little keys to locks in your body and your body systems. And that's what insulin does. Insulin opens up the cells, and insulin response is important. And insulin response is what causes a lot of our problems with, you know, pre-onset, you know, type 2 diabetes and all of these things, the overweight and whatnot. But these peptides are helping us as older people and even younger people. And we say that word, we say metabolism. Well, the peptides are what actually creates that metabolism. When I was a young man in the Marine Corps, I was 175 pounds, rock solid, not an ounce of fat on me, and I could eat 3 In-N-Out burgers, have a milkshake, and you know, and it didn't change. I didn't change one day after the next. If I eat that same amount of food just today, I'm going to gain 3 pounds tomorrow, and I'm going to be sluggish, and I'm not going to want to go to the gym, and I'm going to do it again, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse until I'm on the couch going, oh my God, how did I gain 15 pounds? You know, and that would have never happened when I was younger, but my system isn't working properly anymore. These peptides, what I've noticed is, and I mean, I'm trimmed back down to literally back to my Marine Corps, you know, 20-year-old weight. I'm, you know, I'm not where I was when I was that young man, but I'm feeling great. So I'm really an example of what these things have done. You know, I've lost the weight from the GLP-1s, the GIPs, and the what's the other one? All the anyway, I'm on a triple agonist as far as controlling my insulin into my insulin response, secretion, and regulation. But I'm also on a lot of other peptides. I have bad shoulder, So BPC 157, TB 500, I'm feeling great in my shoulders. Ipamorelin and tesamorelin at night, helping me also with that metabolism that we call, but that insulin response. Little GHCKU, whatever the heck the blue stuff is, for making myself beautiful again, you know, all that kind of stuff. So been, you know, really locking into the peptides as really a nutritional response to my health, because these things are helping me not only control my appetite, but I'm watching things that I'm putting in my body, making sure that I'm, you know, having the right amount of proteins in that. And my body is now using those things efficiently, like when I was younger. And I used to be on TRT, but I've weaned off over the last year, have been off for about a year now. And I'm trying to see where the peptides put me. My levels have been going up and up just on the peptides. So I'm very excited about that, not having to be really on the TRT as much. But when I get back home, that's going to be my next blood test, is to test where my testosterone levels are, how close I am to being at my baseline where I'd like to be, and whether or not I actually need exogenous, you know, testosterone versus the peptides that I've been on. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing it right now. And I'm a living example of it, because at 57, you know, I'm blowing all my friends out of the water as far as health and fitness goes. And I'm really enjoying it.
That's incredible. That's yeah.
But
it's really working for you. Hell yeah.
It is. I can't say enough good about it, especially, you know, with the side effects. You know, with the GLP, GIP, with the triple agonist that I'm on, there are some minor side effects, like you know, a little bit of a queasy feeling in my stomach a lot. You know, like I think about food and I want to eat, or I eat and I just kind of push stuff off to the side, because, and that's really the only side effects I've had as far as it goes. But you know, I've just, you know, been on some very, very low doses and keeping things within range and not you know, overdoing anything and whatnot. But it's really worked out well for me. And I've been on there's been 6 or 7 different peptides that I've actually been on over the last 8 to 12 months.
That's amazing.
Hey, RG3, you mentioned one of the things that you mentioned. You used to, you know, knife down, you know, 3 burgers and have a milkshake when you're in your 20s and 30s and whatnot. Yeah. And now you can't do that anymore. You know, everybody attributes that to age, but I actually would like to counter argument with that notion. It's not just age, because if you could all turn back time and rewind 100 years, we didn't have this level of obesity that we have now. It's close to 70% the last time I checked. Me personally, I think I think our food has gotten way worse, especially in the United States, where the point that, you know, a lot of it is not real, and
it's all deep fried.
And then you know, we're causing weight gain, all these other metabolic issues, mental health issues, and then all these autoimmune diseases that we're suddenly having. Just out of nowhere, it's like, oh, okay, let's ulcerative colitis. Oh, well, what do you know? Well, it's bad luck. You know, there's no way nutrition can be involved in an autoimmune disease. There's no way nutrition can be involved in an autoimmune disease for the GI tract. Like that there's no way, right? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I mean, that's why that's such a common story that you hear, is that, like, yeah, you can't eat the same way that you do. It's not because you're not exercising enough. I personally think it's just our food is just kind of worse over time.
I think you're correct in that too, because I think all the way back, and a lot of you guys won't remember eating a hamburger in the 70s from McDonald's, but they were a lot different. They weren't as processed. Like even a McDonald's hamburger and a milkshake, like they put ice cream in the machine to make the milkshakes at McDonald's back in the 70s. Things were different. Like today, you can taste the process if you do have one of those. I won't drink a McDonald's milkshake, but it's completely different food than we had back in, you know, 72, 73, 74, you know, and a lot of you guys don't know that because you weren't there, but I remember how the food was back then. And, you know, and 90% of my food was home cooked meals. We didn't eat out like people eat out today. You know, you just didn't do it. First of all, we couldn't afford it. Like if we got a hamburger, that was like a once in a month, every 3 month kind of deal. You know, we begged to go get a McDonald's hamburger, but we, you know, mostly ate, you know, mom's beans and rice and tortillas and the whole stuff. And it was all homemade, you know. Shoot, man, I didn't have a store-bought tortilla till I was probably 15, 16 years old. They didn't have them in the stores, you know? And so everything that we had was pretty much homemade. So yeah, the food quality has definitely changed. So it's a lot harder for us to make good choices. Even when you go to a health food store, the processing that's, you know, even there, you know, they call it health food, they call it organic, they call it this, but, you know, the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, everything that's you know, been pushed into our food, into our system has definitely changed. Definitely.
Yeah, beware of health food stores because they are trying to market to multiple people's definition of health. And it may not be yours. So that's just because it's in a Whole Foods or in a Sprouts or whatever doesn't mean that it's actually good for you. So just keep that in mind.
I heard the magical word, and the magical word was stories. And so whenever I hear the magical word, I have to pull up the ever so famous campfire motherfucking stories, which is just everything that, like, it's exactly what you said, Alan. Like, I do believe that the health food stores, they're selling a story. They're selling a product that's basically the same as everything else, with like a nice little, you know, feel good ribbon tied onto the outside of it with like this organic stamp of approval, or like, oh, we got this from whoever the hell. Like if there's 4 or 5 intermediaries in between you and the product that you're receiving, like, do you really know the stuff that's going on? Are these eggs really organic? You know, the eggs are organic when you walk over to the farmer's house and you buy them from him and they're covered in chicken shit. You know, and you don't have to throw them in the refrigerator because they've never been washed off and they still got that enzyme coating or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a crazy world, man. I think that the closer that the folks at home that you guys can get to getting the actual products directly from the source, the better. You know, that's my own personal opinion. I want to ask Mr. Corey, because we've asked both Captain RG3 and Dr. Alan Chen about their histories. Corey, at what point in your life did you start thinking about peptides and start like really going down this health and fitness and nutrition kick?
Great question, man. And I'll kind of have to tell the beginning of my story. So, like, man, I was an alcoholic and drug addict for 25 years of my life, man. I mean, I was a dumpster fire, literally. And you know, I've been sober now for multiple years, and so that was the first step towards my sobriety or my health. Right, was going sober, getting my sobriety in check. And you know, I thought I was doing okay by just being sober. And I went in one time for a physical with the doctor, and you gotta look into the hood. You gotta look and do some preventive maintenance. I don't know if you guys have ever read the book. This will really tie in. Peter Attia, Longevity. That book is amazing. It's about medicine 3.0 and about preventive maintenance instead of medicine 2.0, where they fix the problem after the problem's already here. That's the wrong way to address it. So I go into the doctor, and they do, you know, a very small blood panel. They don't do a lot of biomarkers, and comes back and that, you know, my LDLs are like extremely through the roof. My grandma, she passed from heart attack, and they're like, well, we need to put you on a statin. I was like, oh, so you sort of put me on a...
For people that don't know what LDL is, can you just give it a brief description?
Yeah, so the LDL part is what they consider your bad cholesterol, although there's a little bit debate in there. Your APOBs are what's more important to be measured there, which is a combination of your cholesterols and how it's delivered. But yeah, it's part of your bad cholesterol, right? It causes cardiac disease down the road. So my grandma, she died of a heart attack when she was like 68-ish. And so it runs in my family, and obviously I was just getting off a very bad, time of my life as far as I was more overweight. I mean, I was I love beer. Like when I was drinking, and I was a guy with a big giant beer gut, man. I had that beer gut sticking out over my waist, and I gained weight in my neck, man. God made me where if I'm fat, I'm ugly. It's hilarious. So she's like, well, I'm gonna put you on a statin. And I'm like, well, let me go home and research this statin thing you want to put me on. Sure enough, man, went home and kind of went down the rabbit hole and discovered how bad it was. And just by doing research on the internet, due diligence, I anything I start getting into, I go very serious. Like, that's why I'm in crypto and the way I am now, and like I have my own show, and it's like, because I get serious about the things I do in life. I go all in on it. I have an addictive personality. I just got to focus on the good things in life, you see. And so I started getting addicted to like, what are the alternatives for this statin, or what can I do to get this LDL down, on my own? Is there other things that are wrong with me? And, I started coming across, online communities that are into fitness, and I started reading about these peptides and bioregulators, and I didn't know a whole lot about them at the time. And in one of the communities I joined, one of the real cheap ones, just to get some general information, was like, hey, you should go get a true biomarker test done of like 50 of your panels, just to kind of see what else is going on. And sure enough, when I got that done, besides the LDLs and my APOBs being high, which is all related to your cardiovascular disease and bad cholesterol, stuff like that, my A1Cs were high. So A1C means you're pre-diabetic. And so I was on the pre-diabetic side, meaning I'm not very insulin sensitive. It's starting to, get worse as I'm getting older. I'm like, man, how can I fight this? I can't accept the fate that I'm going to be diabetic and die of a heart attack when I'm in my mid 60s. I refuse to accept that fate. And so I got a 3-year-old daughter. I'm 48 years old. Right. And I want to live to see her daughter. Right. I want to keep leaving. I'm here to, leave legacy wealth behind for my children. I want to enjoy some of this with them though. You need health and wealth. It's just not a one side coin. You got to have both. And so I'm passionate about that. And yeah, man, I ended up, joining a health mastermind, and started like talking to doctors who are in the community. And they're like, look, a good way for you to get the A1Cs down is start putting on muscle mass, because you need to put on new muscle tissue that can absorb the insulin. And because all that old muscle is just, you don't have a lot of it and it's damaged, right? Like you beat the shit out of it by drinking for 25 years, because alcohol is sugar. It's just sugar. You're drinking beer, you're drinking cocktails. All you're doing is forcing all that sugar in your body, and you're keeping a very high level, elevated sugar level. And it just destroys you, wrecks you after, many years, if it doesn't wreck your liver. It was wrecking my liver too. I didn't know that at the time, but it was also wrecking my liver. And so, and she's like, okay, you need, a fitness regimen. You need to get your nutrition in check. And just like anything else, man, I took it serious. I started taking it really serious, like about a year and a half ago. Where it's like I treat it like my religion almost. And so now I take a multitude of the different peptides for strength, keeping my weight in check, for being even for anti-aging, my telomeres, making sure that I'm winding back the clock there. And we can talk more to those a little bit if you want on what each peptide does. But then even more so bioregulators. So a peptide, what's beautiful about a peptide is that if you have a common goal for your body, like put on more muscle mass. Okay, tesamorelin, ipamorelin is great for that. And that's what I take, same as RG3 here, to stimulate the growth hormone, so I can put on muscle mass a lot easier. In fact, I have a 6-pack now, and I've never had that my entire life. I'm 48 years old.
Can you say
48, I never had a 6-pack, and I got one now. So it's like, this is working. And I'm working out at the gym 5 times a week. And but if you want to target, so that's like peptides are like think of it as a general targeting for your body. Like if you lose weight, peptide's good for it. But if you have an organ that is an issue that you want to kind of wind back the clock and target, for me, my liver, right? A lot of the problems with the cholesterol is in my liver, because the liver handles everything, man. It is like the main part of your body that it's like the manager, it's like the CEO of the body. Like it's crazy what it's capable of. And so you can get bioregulators that target the organs and wind back the clock and basically heal them. And so I've got this is a liver bioregulator here, just to show you. One, they come from Russia.
That is liver.
And it targets the liver and winds back the clock on it. And you can get it for your thyroid, for your prostate, for us men who are getting older. We want to, if you're starting to go to the restroom multiple times a night, you might have the prostate issue going on. It's good to do that. But I mean, and these are great for just kind of, winding back the clock. And I've wound back the clock about 6 years on my general, my last test that I done. They could do like a biological marker. And it's about 6 years I've wound back the clock. I've got my LDLs below 100, which is in the healthy range. I took my A1Cs from 6.5 down to 5.7. I want to go below 5. That's my goal. I would below 5 would be very nice. We'll see if I can get there. Just got to keep putting the muscle mass on. And that's how I got into it, man. And I tell you, I've never felt better in my entire life. I mean, like today, I worked all day today. We had a big day today. We had events that we were putting on, and I was, 12 hours we were working today, and I couldn't even do my show today. It sucked. But I don't get that afternoon crash. I don't get that 2 o'clock sluggish. Oh, I want to go take a nap like I used to. Like that's gone. I'm able to work throughout the day. I feel like I'm in my 20s. I mean, it's amazing. Your sex life gets better. It's when you wind back the clock and you start targeting these things, man, life in general gets better. And ideally you can live longer. And I think with AI and the evolution of medicine 3.0, tackling the, preventive maintenance, that's huge instead of waiting for the problem to be there. And Dr. Allen, I'm sure you could probably talk to that. Let's address these before. I think we can extend our lives. We can go from the average of being 80, maybe to 100. I mean, who knows? By the time I'm 80 with the AI and medicine 3.0 coming out, maybe we can live to be 150. And maybe I can see my daughter's daughter, and that would be amazing. It's a goal of mine. I feel like in life, you have two things we take with us to the afterlife, and that's our memories and experiences with our loved ones. And how can I have good memories and experiences with my loved ones if I'm in a wheelchair? And if I can't, run and play with my kids or it's just these things, I think about, as we get older, I got to make sure that we check mark all the boxes to, health and wealth, man. It's massively important to me. It is. You can't live without either one of those things.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. One of the things that I noticed is that with both you and RG, right? It's kind of like your first steps seem to have gone and gotten your levels checked, right? Which ultimately,
let me touch on that real quick. I would everybody should, as Cindy, man, Nate. If you're going to go around and do peptides and bioregulators and start like developing a nutrition and supplements, you should go get your biomarkers done. And I'm sure the doctor can speak to this because you want to look and see what problems you are coming up with. What can we eat today to help prevent that? Or what supplements can we take to help prevent that or get better at that? Or what peptides should we be taking or bioregulators? But how do you know that if you're just going to go and blind and start shooting yourself up with peptides and taking all these bioregulators? You're just maybe wasting a bunch of money. You'd be throwing money to win. You want to make sure you're being smart about it. So yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but that's very important.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off now, Hal. Sorry.
Well, let me tag on along with that. Yeah, absolutely. You need to know your baseline. So you can do other things besides just your labs, by the way. There's something called DEXA scan, which that's like the most accurate way to measure your body fat percentage and also your muscle mass. You can do all sorts of tests, not just blood tests. So especially for those who are not so fond of getting your blood drawn, there's other things that you can do, but I always try. Don't be pussy. Anyway, so also one thing to just keep in mind, because you can get really deep into a rabbit hole with all this, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun, but sometimes don't always think that don't always chase a number. That's what I want to say. Don't always chase a number. It's really chasing kind of how you feel. And so as there's a threshold where, let's just take testosterone for example. where your testosterone levels keep going up and up and up and up. But at a certain point, though, the effectiveness of that high testosterone kind of is less effective, and it doesn't really do much better for you if you're heading past 1500. It doesn't really do much for you, except for some niche scenarios if you want to bodybuild, for example, or whatever. But there comes a point where this is where it gets very individualized. Like, at what number are you going to be good enough to where you can function as well as you want to be? Because sometimes if you pass that threshold, it's not going to do much for you after that. So the number that struck me in my mind was hemoglobin A1C. As long as you're below that number 6, that magic number 6, you're pretty much okay. Like, it's going to keep on. What tends to happen, especially when you get too high and too low, is that the standard deviations get a little funkier. So, you could be, depending on what happened the last month or so with your hemoglobin A1C, it can fluctuate just by either random chance or just by multitude of other factors that you don't know. Yeah. So be careful with chasing numbers. I would, with the obvious exceptions, obviously, with hemoglobin A1C, like there's certain thresholds, but those are the kind of nuances. This is where medicine becomes an art. There's certain nuances where having such high levels of something doesn't really make much of a difference, and it's not worth continuing to chase it, and then maybe just focus on other things. You want the harmony of all those labs to work and also be functional in your life, because some of the stuff is not easy to do. TRT is a good example. Like, who wants to inject themselves at least twice a week? I mean, that was a big thing when I'm on it. There was a big thing that I had to get used to, was doing that. It's not fun, but you eventually get used to it. But who wants to do that? It's based upon you. It's based upon your individual and what you're willing to sacrifice, based upon your individual needs, and how far are you willing to go to get what you want?
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, so I got a question for you then, and then I'll move it over to RG with the same question. Is with currently the path that you're going, do you see yourself continuing to use like peptides, or maybe adding in some other stuff later on down the road as you do end up getting older? Because I mean, like, RG, you're looking absolutely fantastic, right? Corey, you're doing fantastic as well, and these things are working for you. Do you see yourself continuing this all the way down till you're 80, maybe even 90? Like,
I do, but it's going to be based off my biomarkers, right? And that's going to be dependent on what the data tells me, and it might change. So right now, I'm doing a lot of strength training type peptides. I do a little bit of the GLP peptide, not a whole lot. I microdose it. And then I do 8 weeks of that, and then I have 8 weeks off. And when I'm on my off period, then I do all the mitochondria, the telomeres, the real longevity type stuff in your body, peptides, when I'm cycled off the muscle strength peptides. So I cycle between those right now just because I have a certain goal, but that can change right through time. I've talked to bodybuilders who've gotten so big and it's unhealthy. They've gotten to a point where they're unhealthy and they're miserable. And they're trying to lose the weight, lose the muscle mass. Cause I guess it's like anything, too much of anything is bad for you. Right. And so where is that line? I don't know. We'll see as I'm going through this journey, but I'm sure, of course, there'll be some sort of whether it be bioregulars or peptides or whatever comes out next in medicine 3.0. Yeah, man. I mean, my goal, like I said, is I want to live to 150.
Yeah. Keep it coming. Keep making stuff. Keep bringing in new science. I'll keep trying it. The things that I'm doing are working, and I'm hoping that science is going to get better and better and better. And I'm sure they are. Everything is moving at hyper speeds these days. There's all kinds of different, like Corey was saying, coming out that you want to cycle on and off of, and and it's really, doctor said it, it's about how you feel too, because everybody's individual, everyone's different. You can look at numbers and baselines, but it's really, how do you feel? How's your energy levels? Is it cool that your testosterone's at 1900, but at 750 you feel the same? What's better for you? Yeah, knock it down. Don't be taking as much. And that's what I'm doing, is trying to get my testosterone right place. But really, the food that the doctor talked about is so important, and trying to source good food. I'm in Europe right now, and the food here is completely different than in the U.S. I'm eating. I have they call it the local market here is this mercado there, where you can go in and source fresh everything. Fish comes in from the catch that day. Vegetables are all over the racks, colors that I've never even seen before. You can smell the fruit and the vegetables here. It's just different. And I mean, I want to show you. I went to the refrigerator because I wanted to show you guys something really cool. So this is some eggs, that I got here in Portugal. Check this out. That's literally on the egg.
Let's go.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Who said that? Will Stevenson. There you go, man. There's a chicken poop on the egg.
Feathers, right? Feathers and
feathers.
That's from the grocery store. Like, I didn't go to a farm and get these. These came out of the grocery. And guess what? None of their eggs are in the refrigerator section. All their eggs are up on the shelves. They do not refrigerate their eggs out here. And
they don't have to.
They don't have to. And I read about it, and I'm like, why are all the eggs sitting in the shelves here? Everywhere I went. And it's like the eggs in the U.S., you have to put them in the refrigerator because of how they're treated when they come out of the chicken, how the chickens are treated, you have to, it's advised that you refrigerate United States eggs versus the eggs out here in Europe. They just put them on the shelf.
It's because we wash them, that's why. And then they lose that protective cuticle layer.
That's
if you don't refrigerate them, then they're going to be susceptible to bacteria.
Because we want that pure white looking egg. I haven't seen a white egg out here yet.
Yeah. And, spoiler alert, I'm doing some research as to what we actually wash them with. I'm actually kind of curious.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So we'll get down that rabbit hole at some point, but yeah, I'm doing some research for that video coming soon.
So sourcing good food, is important to me. And like you said, you go to a health food market, and really the health food market is all marketing. It's a bunch of organic this and natural that, and you see all the pretty, farm fresh looking stuff on it. But what are you really getting? And you look at the back of the label, and there's about 4 or 5 different chemicals that you don't know how to pronounce the names. And then there's what do they call them? The local farmers will actually put fruits and vegetables together for you that are locally sourced. There's all kinds of different programs that you can get involved with to support your local farmers and get local grown groceries and whatnot. So it's just trying to find a better way to get better food, better quality food into my body is also important, on top of the peptides. And then being active and getting in the gym, surfing, doing things that make me get up off the couch more often than sitting around and being, stagnant.
Hey, RG3, I have a question for you. How many, you can use any measurement you want, but how many gyms do you see in your area?
Oh, gosh, I couldn't count how many gyms in my area. They literally just put a new one up, while I was gone. So,
okay, would you say that, let me phrase the question better. Would you say that there are more gyms per square mile where you are versus the U.S., like a U.S. metropolitan area?
Oh, you mean here?
In Portugal, yeah.
Tons more in the U.S. than here. Yeah.
Ever wonder why that might be?
Marketing.
Something for you guys to think about at home. Just like how come, when I went to Bali is a good example that I went to recently. Like, gyms are really hard to come by, whereas here I live in DFW Metroplex. Like, there's like a gym pretty much at every exit, like, or more. And it's a fascinating thought experiment on advertising, on supply and demand, and all that. And you can go down some rabbit holes with that. I won't give it all away, but
it's funny.
Still, here I don't see the obesity rate here either. As I'm walking around. And there's a lot of walking going on. In LA, we don't walk. We just don't walk. Here, it's very hard to park your car.
For poor people.
You usually park your car about a mile away from the place you go to, and you got to walk to it and then walk back, and then usually it's like, forget taking the car. We're just going to walk down here, and that's, how a lot of walking going on out here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put on a lot of miles of walking just being here in Europe, where in California, I drive everywhere I go. I drive to the gym. I drive, here I walk down there. It's a lot of walking, a lot of activity going on out here.
It's funny you say that because like I'm going to Shanghai, China in June, and like I'm on like Google Maps trying to find gyms because my wife has a house there, and I'm looking for gyms, and I'm like, there's like 3, and Shanghai's huge, and there might be more than 3, but like in her area, I was like, why is there no gyms? And then and it kind of dawned on me because it's the same. Like my wife, she doesn't like to drive. She's like, in China, we don't have to drive. We don't drive. I'm like, what? She's like, we walk everywhere. When I live in Shanghai, we just walk everywhere.
Yeah. Public transport's amazing.
Yeah, it's right, exactly. And so there's got to be some correlation to that right there. I think we kind of hit the nail on the head there. That they're a lot more just active in general because obesity is not like a big thing in China. And they eat rice like crazy. Like my wife just eats rice, and I'm like, God, if I do that, my blood sugar would shoot through.
That's why I can't be carnivore. I love my rice. Sorry, I love my rice. I can't be carnivore.
It's like, gosh, it's because the way they live their life and their culture, right? We don't have that culture piece right there in the United States. That piece is gone. So,
yeah. And one last point too. We're talking about BMI, and I think we've been downplaying it too much. BMI. So yeah, people make the argument, if you have a high BMI but you're like a bodybuilder, you're technically healthy. Actually, I don't agree with that. BMI is actually pretty useful in the sense that it's measuring how much energy do you need to go about your daily life based upon your weight. Because we all are susceptible to gravity. That's what we're all in common. We all are susceptible to gravity unless you're on the moon or wherever, Mars, whatever. And if you're Elon, you want to go to Mars. But your everyday process is like if you have to work extra harder to go from point A to point B than somebody in a normal weight, you're going to burn or you're going to need a lot more energy, and it's going to take a toll over time on all your organs. So if you've probably heard a bunch of, long-time bodybuilders who actually don't live very long. It's actually not necessarily good for longevity. That's another word that we have to hit on with the differences between it, because people have this wild variations of the definition of longevity. But going back to BMI real quick, I don't consider that healthy, even though you're full of muscle. You're not 600 pounds like you are on my 600-pound life. You're full of muscle, but with all that extra weight and extra space that you're taking up, you're actually more limited than you think in doing certain things. So again, like we were mentioning before, there's always these extremes that are not good, but you have to find that balance and basically, if you want to be a bodybuilder the rest of your life, and you want to be all like, jacked like Arnold all the time, that's your prerogative. And that, again, you have to live with the consequences of such that may arise. Or if you want to be on steroids your whole life, okay. I mean, it's not my body. I'm not going to tell you what to do with it, but it's not advised. So yeah, it's BMI, because of the whole fat acceptance movement, that it got a bad rap. But it needs to be emphasized a little bit more than we have been lately.
Well, you don't see any large 100-year-old people,
Right.
My grandfather's 96 and he's a little tiny guy, There was a point in his life where he was much bigger, but yeah, you see, old people are very thin,
And I think real quick, the Peter Audia's book Outlive, like the biggest, or maybe not
Outlive, that's it. Outlive.
Yeah, I put it on the chat. Yeah. I don't think it was maybe it was his book, but maybe it was from the Longevity Institute. But the biggest marker for longevity that the best one that they could find, what do you think it is?
Size.
Or not yeah. So no, not size.
Oh.
It's calorie restriction.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, and it makes sense because you're metabolizing less things. So that means that decreases your incidences of free radicals and all the other nonsense. Like, you're making your body work less hard, I guess, over time. So
It's just like an engine in a car will last longer if you leave it on idle forever rather than if you're revving at 5,000 or something. Okay.
yeah, if you try to go put it on a track for at 120 plus miles an hour all the time, it's gonna wear out real quick.
Burn out.
Yeah. So
I intermittent fast every day. So like I don't eat 3 hours before I go to bed, which is very important for me, like to get good sleep. Plus, you're supposed to some of these peptides I take, you're supposed to be 2 hours without after eating, and then I don't eat till like 10 a.m. at minimum at least the next day. So I put some time in there. The body needs to rest.
But isn't it funny when you start digging into what's in our processed foods and what a lot of them do is they make you less or they make you less full.
Huh.
So you're opposing the calorie restriction thing, right? And then now no wonder we have such a sick population in the West, at least. You can go with plenty of rabbit holes with this. It's just something. It's a thought experiment for all you guys at home to start thinking about. It's like, what are the forces that are at play that are biases? What are the forces that are at play that are biasing us towards a certain direction?
Because if you're intermittent fasting, but you're eating McDonald's, well,
that's
then
not
you're
good.
You're a dumpster fire still, right? Like you're still the processed food in there you're not going to be healthy. So
and you may not even know it. You may be eating more than you should be as a result of that. That's what kind of gets people is that because they, here's an interesting thing that I have to deal with a lot of folks who are managing obesity and whatnot is they often if they don't track it, if they don't actually legitimately diligently track it, they will tend to vastly underestimate what they actually eat. So for example, they say, oh yeah, all I eat are steaks and I walk 30K steps a day. 30K steps a day is like 15 miles a day, which I'm like, I can't, I mean, in the US, that's very hard to believe because I have to drive everywhere. Like I'm having trouble just getting to 10,000. And I had to call cap on that. I was like, wait a minute, no, there's something missing in this puzzle. And that's kind of more of the people that I see or kind of the questions that I ask to people is like, wait a minute, there's something missing here. And I can't put a camera on everybody, like a hidden camera, and be like, and see, gotcha, you're eating that Oreos, drop it. I wish I mean, that would be an interesting business, and then we could probably get AI into it. But if you've got business ideas, DM me. But anyway,
Big Brother Alan is always watching.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you really dig into a lot of people's history, you can really pinpoint what's going on. But unfortunately, whether it's ego or whether it's they're ashamed or whatever, they don't admit it. They don't admit that right off the bat. You have to really probe with better questions. So that's the art of being a really good doctor, in my opinion, is probing with amazing questions, because it prevents them from lying to you and it prevents them from skirting away from the truth. That's really where
it's partly
the art in medicine.
That addiction mentality, like when I was an alcoholic, if you'd asked me if I was an alcoholic, I'd have told you, hell no, I'm not an alcoholic. What are you talking about?
Right.
And I would have convinced you how I wasn't, right? And you would have had to have probed those questions to try to figure out whether or not, my lifestyle was killing me or not. And it's the same thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And that's one of the many problems with modern day doctors these days, is that it's more so we don't have the time to ask these kinds of questions, but we're also afraid to ask those questions because sometimes they're really they can really hurt. it hurt people to answer them, because
it doesn't feel good to come clean with it.
Yeah, because they're forced to look in the mirror and be like, "Oh shit!" I don't.
Yeah, and face
I'm not who I say I am. Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, and it hurts. The truth hurts. I mean, yeah, choose your hard. I mean, if you're gonna
choose your hard, man.
If you want to lie to yourself all the time, then that's a different hard. But if
then you're gonna get a different hard. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. No, okay. I want to take this. So it's important for people to be in tune with reality. That's the thing that I think that you guys are driving at here. And that's one of the things that basically gets us into cryptocurrency, gets us into physical fitness, gets us into learning finances, gets us into learning how to, like, as men, deal with women, have as women, like, learn about the truth about the world, like all of this stuff that we talk about on this podcast and your guys, your podcast yourself, Unplugged Fit, the F and Hangout, like the DeFi Crypto Alliance show, the Ascending Man show, like literally everything that we talk about here is all about getting better information, listening to the unflattering truths, going after the information that, like, you know, the people that want to seek comfort aren't necessarily looking for. We're looking to become more uncomfortable. We're looking to have more difficult understandings and be in tune with reality. Because, like, if you're living off in La La Land, you're not going to be effective at solving problems. You're not going to be effective at getting your goals taken care of. So I fucking love it, and I love to see it. This is a great conversation, and I want to interrupt it real quick to do some show logistics because it's time for our second round of chat motherfucking shoutouts, ladies and germs. We've had a lot of folks join us since we first started. So, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and roll on into chat shoutouts. First and foremost, we've got our favorite, Mr. Angry Twinkie. Howdy, Degens. Howdy to you too, sir. Mr. Angry Twinkie, I'm so stoked to see you. I don't know if you're going to the Pulse 369 conference, broski, but if you are, it's going to be a great time. But shout out to Mr. Angry Twinkie, a real life friend of mine. Hung out with him on several occasions. Super cool cat. Love to see you in the streams and in the comments, bros. And speaking of other influencers and crypto streamers in the comments, we've got none other than Dr. Sloth, the fucking Hexagon dentist. Good to see you, broski. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome.
He's
welcome
full-time crypto bro, part-time dentist. Tell him I
full-time
said
crypto
that.
bro.
Tell him I said
part-time
that.
dentist.
You're full-time
You
crypto bro.
heard it here first, Dr. Sloth. We love to see it. I'm gonna come and visit you at some point. I'm pretty sure I know where you're at. So I'm gonna come find you. I'm gonna come get you to take care of my teeth. I'm pretty sure I need some Invisaligns at some point. So I'll come see you, Dr. Sloth. It'll be a good time. All right, so let's see. Next up in the chat shadows, we got Moon-Pilled Rational Optics with a question for the panel. What would you consider good testosterone levels for your 40s, 50s, and 60s? We will come back to this question. That's a good question, Mr. Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. Yes, it is a rabbit hole. We'll come back to that one after we're done with chat shoutouts, and that's what we use to launch off into the next series of things. Unless Nate, you got a specific question you want to do, but if we don't cover it immediately, Moon-Pilled, we will get back to you, broski. Next up in the chat. Immediately after. All right, cool beans. We'll launch right into that. Sweet. So next up, we got Crypto Compassion. Shout out to you, Crypto Compassion. Hey, legends. Hey to you too, sir. It's good to see you in here. Shout out to Crypto Compassion, member, good friend of Vets in Crypto, good friends of all of ours. Man, we got lots of streamers hopping in the chats today. So good to see all of y'all in the Hexagon space and all y'all coming in, chilling out, and hanging out with us here on the Degen Roundtable. Next up, we've got Broats with the angry Wolverine pointing the gun at the viewer. I fucking love your little icon, broski. That's awesome. But I've always got to hop on whenever the doc is on. Thanks for putting on these conversations, or thanks for putting these conversations up so I can sit around the campfire. It's
Appreciate
good to see you, Broats. We do love the campfire stories. Absolutely. I'm going to presume that's a friend of yours, Dr. Chen, possibly a friend of ours. I'm not entirely sure. But good to see you, Broats. Welcome, welcome. Next up in the chat, shoutouts, we've got Danny Boy, who's focused on the one important word of sacrifice. Yes, we are a little bit tired of sacrifices in the Hex Pulse Chain Pulse X community, but we love I don't remember what we were talking about. I guess you got to sacrifice either your health or your comfort to get one or the other.
You got to sacrifice one of them.
Life is all about sacrifice.
All of life is a sacrifice. When I want to buy a delicious case of sparkling water, I have to sacrifice my precious fiat dollars in order to get it. If I want to buy a cool Hex sword from the Hex Sword guy on Twitter, shout out to you, by the way. Fucking kick ass. I have a dude making me a hex cutlass. I'm super fucking stoked about it. It is almost done. It's going to be shipped to me soon. If you want to trade your hex for a cutlass, sometimes you do that. If you want to trade your reputation for, product placement, sometimes you will see musicians or actors selling their reputation. So that way you guys know that they support Gatorade or whatever the fuck, right? All of life is just a series of sacrifices where you sacrifice one thing for another. Sometimes we have to sacrifice our own life for our family. You know, if it's like up to Titanic sinking and we gotta, women and children first, then hey, that's the way it goes. But we all like sacrifices. Everything's just a bunch of sacrifices. And sometimes we Hexicans got to make them. But these are good sacrifices. Sacrificing your comfort to get a longer life and better healthy body. I think that's a fucking awesome sacrifice for everyone to do. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got our favorite Pulse Jitsu with Fast Abdul. Tell me your secrets. This guy's in it for the tech, apparently. And this science, or this is bro science, or bro. That's fucking good. I love you, Fast Abdul Broski. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you in the chats. And yeah, this is some fantastic science. You guys are getting all the special sauce here on the Degen Roundtable. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got Psycho Crypto 023. Good morning, good morning. I presume you're over in Australia or somewhere over in Asia then, Mr. Psycho Crypto. It's good to see you, broski. Welcome, welcome. And I like your little icon there. After that, we've got the obese Spark driver. We got the fucking Sparkies in the house. Electricians on the roll. And I think that's a white version of Fat Albert as his icon there. That's pretty fucking funny. I'm not entirely sure, but it's good to see you, Mr. Obese Spark Driver. If that's some other cartoon character, I apologize. I don't know who it is, but this is a great panel. You're absolutely right. Look at these dudes over here. We got it. Like me and Nate are over here, just like running some crazy show about a bunch of degens, and we got all these smart guys giving us good knowledge, good information. Y'all at home better be taking some fucking notes. I know for a fact that I am. I've got Tessamorelin or something like that, Svetonorm, Lisbedon, biomarkers, and Dexioscan, all sorts of fucking little notes on my notepad here. So I hope y'all are taking as fantastic notes as I am, because this is some good shit, good information. I'm definitely be catching this on the replay, gang. So shout out to all you in the comments, in the chats, keeping up and enjoying the stream and doing all sorts of all of the good note taking and stuff. We're going to circle back to our question that we got earlier from Mr. Moonpilled Rational Optics. And what would you consider good testosterone levels for your 40s, 50s, and 60s? Dr. Chen, I see you're warming up for this question, and you said earlier it's a rabbit hole. Would you please enlighten us on how this could be a rabbit hole, good sir?
All right. If y'all have a tinfoil hat, I suggest you put it on right now. I don't have mine right now. It's downstairs, but anyway, I suggest you put it on right now. And maybe shut off your phones. I don't know. Anyway, so let's see. Let's see how I phrase this. Okay. The testosterone level for the average 80-year-old back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s was the same as a 20-year-old today. So does that make sense? Like, does that? So basically, we have record lows of testosterone as a male population nowadays, and people don't realize it either. Like, people are surprised when their test levels are like 100. I'm like, and I look at that and I'm like, you're about to die. Like, we need to get you fixed like right now. You know, they're sort of, they just don't realize it, and that's why it's really, really important to get your levels checked. Now, where this rabbit hole goes is the threshold that they use on the laboratory test. If you, wherever you go to, Quest, whatever laboratory you go, the general normal values that they use has shifted to, so where that normal is actually, like, in my mind, really, really low. So I think the lowest I've seen was total test being 400. And that's like, no. Well, that's too low for most of everybody. And they call that normal. So, and insurance would also not, treat you for a low testosterone if you're at 450, for example, because your laboratory test doesn't say that it's abnormal. So it's slowly been going down the sliding scale. And this is not the only test, by the way, that's been doing that. It's been doing it for a bunch of other things as well, where they're moving the goalposts so that there's a different version of health in your mind. Another one that really pisses me off is they've been moving back the average age of when you start puberty to younger. That's a real big rabbit hole. I'm not going to get into that, because then we get into some other conspiracies out there that I'm not going to say much more than that, but it's interesting how that works, right? And I've seen kids that are going through puberty as young as like 6, and that's like, that's not normal. That's like why do we want to consider that as normal? That's really fucked up, right? So and there's could be plenty of reasons for that. We alluded to this earlier, where estrogen is abound. Like the air that we breathe probably has estrogen in it. So that's something to be careful of. The way our water quality sucks. I mean, again, we can go into so many different rabbit holes with this.
Fluoride.
I just kind of want to, fluoride. I just want to plant the seed in your head so that you are unplugged. see what I said? And also aware of what's happening to you and and what you can do about it. The best things you can do about it. Because unfortunately, there's things that you can't really change, but there's some things that just a lot of things that you can do, and that's partly why the peptide sciences, the longevity sciences, and all these biohacking sciences have come abound. Is because it's there are a lot of things that we can do to manipulate our environment and to improve our health that we don't need a drug or a procedure or whatever to help us with. So that's a big rabbit hole, and it's unfortunately played into. And I personally believe also, you talked about cholesterol. I'm okay. I accept a reasonably high cholesterol according to the labs that you see. I actually accept that, because you do need cholesterol in your body. Your cell membranes, for lack of a better term, the wall of your cells, all have cholesterol in it. They're built out of cholesterol, so you need cholesterol to some degree. I just think that threshold is way too low, so that the certain organizations out there would love to prescribe you statins once you hit that threshold, which is very easy to pass. Easy. It's quite easy. So I actually accept a little bit higher LDL levels than most mainstream physicians would, and the other markers as well, like take them with a grain of salt. That's why, again, we have to go back to our other things working out for you. And then does everything jive kind of in unison? And again, that's where the art of medicine comes in, where it's not just objective data. We're not robots. We're not trying to calibrate ourselves to XYZ thing. There's a big picture. Everybody's a human. Everybody's individual. Everybody's sovereign. We have different measures for everything, and you don't have to catch up with the Joneses and be like, oh, this jack dude that I want to be is bragging that his testosterone is over 1700. But that may be the thing for you. So you have to be careful of that. With social media, that's very easy to do, where you can try to be almost copy somebody, but really, and here's just a general principle: look to be yourself and know who you are. Don't try to just completely mimic the next influencer or whatever out there, because that can lead you into all sorts of other rabbit holes, because everybody has different experiences, different lives, and whatnot that's make them who they are. And ultimately, we can go crunch the numbers, but what's the human component that really makes a difference? Is what makes you human, and that's something that you have to answer for yourself.
Yeah, well, I had and I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole, but when I look at the chemicals that are being introduced into our environment more and more as the years have gone by, versus what they were, like you said, men's testosterone back in the day was a certain level, and now we've gotten to these levels, and we've got even my own kids, I've seen puberty start early. All of the chemicals that I've seen to eradicate pests don't kill the pest. They neuter the pests. They actually work on the sex organs of the pest to stop them from reproducing. And all of these things are going into our food. Do you think that has anything to do with what we've got going on, or is that a whole nother rabbit hole?
That's the tinfoil hat.
Yes, that's my makeshift tinfoil hat that I could find. This is a ping pong scoreboard that I have randomly sitting here. Yes.
And I've done some research a little bit on it, and I've seen some people, and I'm like, oh, that's another whole rabbit hole. And like you said, tinfoil hat stuff. But it was making me think, it's well, all these pesticides aren't to kill the pests; they're to neuter the pests and
To
stop
prevent them from growing.
reproducing.
Yeah, and then that's one of the big objectives of Robert F. Kennedy is to get rid of atrazine and a couple other main players, but atrazine is by far the top one that we still have in the U.S. And by the way, Europe has banned it. So that could, they put two and two together on that one. And we do also underappreciate like the natural pesticides that we do have. The only issue is that there tend to be more maintenance. It may take more time for your crops to grow, that sort of thing. So a lead into that would be we have a convenience crisis, where we are looking for the next really fast solution. But what are we sacrificing as a result of that convenience and that speed? Sometimes we don't know, and until it's too late. So that's a huge example of that, where unfortunately money has driven us, and efficiency has kind of bitten us in the ass in that one, where we see industrialization of all agriculture and just food production, and this is where it led us, unfortunately. So
I mean, the food's been mutated. I mean, like the corn with the GMO and everything that's, it's done intentionally, and then the fluoride they put in the water and the fluoride they put in the toothpaste. Like we don't have the toothpaste in my house. There's no fluoride in it, even for my kids. They're not
brushing future fluoride at the dentist's office too. For future fluoride.
Yeah, it's just to your point. I feel like there's too many unknowables of what these things will create out of us or in us as we're getting older. Like you said, I mean, kids going into puberty at 6 years old is crazy to me. They don't get it to enjoy their childhood, and they got robbed. Excuse me, they got robbed of their childhood. Is what they got.
Yeah, the really nefarious thing about that, with especially girls getting into puberty early, is that they get into menopause early too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like the late 40s or 50s,
usually it's 50. Average age, I believe, last time I checked, was 52. So we're looking at them going into menopause at like 45, 50, 46, 47.
Yeah, I mean, before women could, if they're in healthy condition, could have a baby at 45.
Right.
I mean,
well,
my wife had a baby at 43.
As long as you have your first kid before 35, it should be okay. But anyway, what was I trying to say? I forgot my point, but anyway, we can move on.
I want to give an opportunity real quick for Corey Geary, because I know you have to bounce out here in a moment, and then Captain RG3 as well. I want to thank you guys for joining us first and foremost. This has been an excellent, fantastic conversation.
I'm gonna take my peptides before I go to bed. Literally.
Before you guys go, I would like if you guys could give one piece of actionable advice to the audience members who are watching the stream. What would you tell them? And then after you do, let the folks at home know where they can find you and what you've got going on in the near future. Corey, I'll toss it over to you first, good sir. What piece of advice from just the stuff that we've been talking about today?
Like,
advice
look,
give,
the peptides and bioregulators and all the stuff that we talked about, they're great and they're fun, and it's cool to talk about longevity, but it boils down to really, man, you got to get, and Dr. Allen said this earlier, you got to get your baseline done. Like you need to have good nutrition. What are you doing for exercise? Like if you're, 300 pounds and you're eating McDonald's every day and you're a dumpster fire, like I don't care how much Ratatouille you're going to take, it's not going to fix the problem because you're not willing to address the problem. And you think this peptide you're putting on top of this massive issue that's just like a little Band-Aid, it's not going to hold it together. It won't. And you're still going to go down the rabbit hole. So it's very important to get your life in check, eat healthy, to RG3s. I mean, we shop at the farmer's market here in Puerto Rico. I live in Puerto Rico, and my wife cooks every day here at home. We rarely eat out. She understands I'm on a very low carb, high protein diet. She knows exactly what to cook for me. And it's, we address that first, and then all this other stuff is the cherry on top. But that's what really the biggest takeaway here. Get your biomarkers done, take your nutrition and exercise serious first, and then start going into the rabbit hole of peptides and bioregulators and all these other things that we were talking about, because it's all awesome. But like I said, if you're a dumpster fire like I was, 20 years ago, none of this stuff would have mattered. I would have still been killing myself. There's no peptide or bioregulator that's going to save me from drinking myself to death when I was an alcoholic. There's just not. I had to quit. I had to quit drinking. That was a cure. There was no other cure. So what's the biggest takeaway? And remember, guys, health and wealth. We need those two things throughout this life, man. That's the most important thing. Create memories with our loved ones, man. That's what I'm so passionate about. So appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Well said, Corey.
Sure. Find me at the DeFi Crypto Alliance show. I have a YouTube show. I try to stream every day around 11 a.m. EST. Doesn't happen all the time. I'll be on tomorrow. I'll also be at the PLS 369 tour, guys. If you're going to be there, hit me up. We're sponsoring. We're speaking on stage. We're going to be talking about the DeFi Wealth Trust, which would be really cool if you don't like paying taxes. That's a whole nother topic. But find me there. Let's have lunch. Let's have dinner. We can talk more about peptides and the stack that I'm on, because there's a lot of them that I rotate through, and we can talk more in depth on that stuff. And I just appreciate so much you guys having me on.
It. Excellent, Corey. Thank you for joining us.
Good, Corey.
Feel free to
peace, guys. I'll see you guys. Hey, and Dr. Allen, I followed you, and man, maybe we'll have you on. I might hit you up by having my show too. Would love that.
Fuck yeah.
Love it too.
All right, guys.
Take it easy, Corey. Captain RG3, you were saying it's 2 a.m. over there in the fucking morning in Portugal, bro.
2:30, yeah.
Thank you for hopping on with us, man. I had no idea what time it was or what time zone you were in. What would be your piece? What would be the thing that you would say either you can add on to Corey's, or you can do something totally separate? What's your one piece of actionable advice for the folks at home regarding the stuff that we've been talking about, and then where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
Yeah, so Captain RG3, you can get me everywhere. Twitter's, the Instagrams, all that stuff. PulseChainTour.com if you're looking to go to the Pulse 369 event. Again, thank you to you guys, all the work you do, the stuff that you're going to help us out with in Vegas. It's awesome having you guys and helping with the F and Hangout and all that. I love our partnership. As far as what Corey said, I'm 100% behind what he's saying, health and wealth. But I think that, pay attention to it now. Today is the day for you to start paying attention to it, because you're going to get older. You're going to be 60 like me, and getting right there. And it doesn't get any easier. When you're young, it is much easier than trying to do it when you're older. So get it in check now. Get yourself, your diet, your exercise, and there's other things too. And it's not just it's mind, body, spirit, your relationships, and your money. You have to take care of those 5 things to make a man as powerful and as efficient as he can be. You've got a lot of things that you got to focus on, and then if you focus on those things, you're going to have a good, happy life with good relationships and whatnot. And that's what you got to focus on. The peptides and all this are just like he said. They're a cherry on top, and you really got to just get into action. Take yourself seriously, and because you don't want to go coming into home base and never have made it to second base, and the time is now for you to get active and start looking into your health and making sure you're taking care of yourself. So that's it, guys. Thanks for having me. And Doc, I'd like to get you on my show too. We'll reach out. I would love to.
And you don't look a day over 40, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, well, thank you.
I keep forgetting that you're so close to 60, bro. You are looking fan-fucking-tastic. So whatever you're doing, RG3, it's working. So guys, the proof's in the pudding right fucking here.
I really think it has a lot to do with the surfing. The surfing is like the thing that all the guys out there in the water, they just look young, man. And it's something about the ocean and sunshine, the sunshine, the ocean, all that. It really makes my day getting out there in the water and makes me feel good. So put my feet in the sand, put my butt in water. Oh, it's good. All right, guys. Thanks, man. I appreciate you all. Doc, thanks, great.
We'll see you in Vegas, RG3.
See you in Vegas,
next week.
Excellente. That's fucking awesome. All right, Dr. Chen.
Yeah, I'd love to just carry on with what those guys said.
Yeah.
it's not that easy to get involved with all this stuff. It does, you can overwhelm yourself with all the information that we give you, and that's why, at least on these kinds of formats, I try not to, try to go through every little itty bitty detail, because it could get very, very overwhelming. Like if we go through his entire regimen of peptides, it probably took both those guys, good at least months to years to really get that down and to really hone it in. So don't think it's just like a quick, like, oh, okay, let's buy it and it's going to come in through Amazon, and then you're going to get your shit and everything's going to be ready, and it's not going to be that easy. So just keep that in mind. It's a big titrating process. You have to figure out what works well in your schedule as well, and when to take them. There's a lot more to it than just taking them. It's a lot. It is a lot of work, and but you have to enjoy the process, so to speak. It's like anything else. So yeah.
People do have to sacrifice the time price, which is, I think, that nobody wants to spend. That's the thing that people they're always like, oh, I'm happy to spend money, throwing money at the problem. I'm happy to pay for a solution. But the real thing, like what you guys are all saying, is you have to fucking invest in the process. You have to actually do the damn work. You have to do the proof of work, and you have to have the proof of stake, right? The proof of work, you have to do the damn stuff. Proof of stake, you have to do it for a long period of time in order to get any sort of results. It's just like anything in life. The longer you pay attention to it, the more you focus on it, the more you practice, the more you fall, that you get up, you pick yourself up, you keep going, persistence, all that crap, the better you'll get at it. It sounded like you had a thought there.
Oh, I mean, and also if you do it too quickly, for example, you try to rush it, and you might miss something, and then before you know it, you overdosed on something by accident, and then you can get into all sorts of trouble that way. And that's just not related to just health, by the way. That's related to almost everything in life, like business deals. You run into it too fast, you don't do due diligence, you could fuck up and lose a lot of money, that sort of shit. So a lot, and interestingly enough, like all these principles, like they apply to many other things in life. And that's what's kind of fun, to correlate everything together. People often separate health with the rest of life, and that's especially what a lot of mainstream doctors do, is they separate it way too much. It's not its own world, really. It's actually pretty commingled with the rest of our lives, but it's more so than we think as well.
Yeah, one of the major things that I kind of find is, and this goes to what, RG was talking about, like start young, right? The reason why he's saying that, exactly. The reason why he's saying that is not only just because once you hit like 50 years old and now you suddenly have problems, is that harder to hit, but there's
it could be too late.
It could be too late. Yeah, exactly. But there could also be, sorry, got backed up on that one. But one of the issues that can end up popping up is actually you need to get yourself into a maintenance mode first. Once you get yourself into maintenance, then you can back off on the time you spend doing all these like health checks, right? Trying to become mentally more stable, trying to become more spiritually stronger, right? All these things, right? Once you get yourself into a maintenance mode, that time that you spend trying to focus on all that can then be spent instead of, like, say, building a business or something like that. That's the reason why ultimately you do want to start off younger. And I can tell you right now that rolling that boulder up the hill is really difficult when you're also trying to build a house, right? It's difficult to do both those things at the same time, and there's very slow progress to it.
Hey, Will, how do you eat a shit sandwich?
How do you eat a
shit sandwich?
A shit sandwich? I know how to eat an elephant, which is one bite at a time. I'm not sure how.
One crappy bite at a time.
Oh, one crappy bite at a time.
That's my joke. That's my joke.
I didn't see that. I was like, I've not heard this one before. Okay,
nah, it's just an iteration of the elephant. The elephant.
That's good.
Joke.
That's good. I like it though, because like sometimes you have to like wade through the.
It's embracing the suck.
Yeah, embrace the suck. There's something about like the grass is always greener on the other side of the pasture because it's covered in cow shit. Or it's like you have to go through the shit in order to get to the good stuff. You have to drop the fertilizer in order for your plants to grow, or something along those lines. Like there's a purpose for everything, and that's a good analogy. I like that, Alan. That's fucking good.
Well, and also in real life real life's hard. It's shit. It's often shitty, and yeah, it's how you what you make out of the shit, and you can turn it into gold.
Yeah.
You know, so
There's a saying where it's like the cost of character is an easy life, and the cost of an easy life is character. And so
Yeah.
it's like you can have one, but you cannot have the other.
Yeah.
So or substance, maybe not character, but substance, right? Whether you want to call it a substantive life.
Mhm.
The people that, like, you never hear of a hero who just, like, took it easy all the time and it was just everything's good. It's like Superman has his struggles, right? Batman's parents died.
That's why the
Spider-Man's
Marvel movies have been shitty lately, because they taking that component
Yeah,
of the
they don't go
movie
through the shittiness.
out.
They don't go through the struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
yeah.
that's literally exactly. If you look at the Star Wars movies, it's the exact same thing, right? Just magically,
Ray just
given
magically has
powers.
powers all of a sudden, and there was no lead up to that.
Exactly. That's what the hero's journey ultimately
Mhm.
is, and the hero's journey is the most legendary story timeline of since thousands of years ago. And the heroes of old have always, their stories are the hero's journey about
Right.
struggle, strife, having to overcome, and then eventually becoming that hero after they've already lost many times, and then they finally get that win. It's the heroic win. Like it is something that always happens. And you know what? Here's the interesting thing. So for there, we can sit here and we can talk about all the time of like how you need to overcome, you need to get yourself into like the maintenance mode, right, and everything like that. But sometimes people they feel like they're overwhelmed, or maybe they're starting too late, right, before they actually like realize this stuff. And for people who are kind of in that position, I just want to tell you that yes, it is true. Maybe you learned about this a little bit late. Maybe you're 40 years old and you're just learning about how now you need to get yourself in the maintenance mode. It's like, okay, well, that sucks. That means that life is just going to be a little bit harder, or that journey, I should say, is going to be a little bit harder. Okay, I get it. The other thing too is some of us are born with what I would call a heavier burden than others as well. What if you? I mean, you could have been born, had a very poor family life, and now you spend your entire 20s, instead of getting healthy bodily, right, you're trying to get healthy up here. And maybe there's some things you don't even know that you're doing until way later when you learn about it, and now you have to fix the problems, right? And then only after then can you start like taking care of the body, right? It's just there are different struggles for different people. What I would say is try to learn the most efficient direction that you can go. Usually it's mentally, frankly.
Mhm.
But try to learn what the most efficient way to get yourself strong, what position to get yourself strong in, and then just start, as you say, one shitty bite at a time. One,
You're absolutely
two.
right. Yeah. And unfortunately, nowadays, with a lot of broken families, and it's not gotten any better, and then it's no wonder why mental health is out of control. It's hard to, they're getting thrown drugs at them, and they are not getting better. Like the drugs are only a band-aid for a huge ass hemorrhage that we're dealing with, and it's unfortunate that we are where we are, and that's we're seeing it right now with all the crap that's going on, all the craziness. That's a manifestation of the fact that we are not doing a good job of handling mental health and handling all the traumas that we have in a healthy manner. And unfortunately, our solution is, oh, here's your Zoloft, here's your Lexapro, that sort of thing. Two other things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't even start with Rilla. Two other things. One, TRT. So, and this is another thing to think about when you're thinking about making changes and where to go and where to find things, right? Me personally, I don't recommend TRT for anybody under 30 years old, because at 20, you should be at your peak. And this is for men, by the way. I'm talking about men. You're at your peak, your peak activity levels, your peak everything. You're basically, or you're starting to peak at that point, and your hormones are like revving up, and all your natural processes are at their supposed best, right? You want to be able to use that to the best of your advantage early on. And really, for most of those folks who suffer from low T that early on, it's probably their diet and sleep, for that matter. We talked about that on the last podcast. But if we can fix those things, I'd rather you do that without the TRT. But what tends to happen is, especially with all these T clinics that you might be seeing floating around along with the gyms, by the way, if you notice that I've seen every T clinic that I've seen has been close to a gym. So again, marketing. How is that playing a role on you? They're pushing TRT in kids as young as like as soon as they turn 18, which I don't think is right. Now, I mean, at least they're going to the right gender, which, I've seen hormones going the opposite direction, but as well. But it's something it's again, they're trying to sell you on a product, but be careful of that where you might be swayed one way or the other. And this is something that's been debated also with TRT, is that I usually prescribe an HCG derivative, which helps with your fertility, because one of the side effects of just taking straight up testosterone can be infertility. So I recommend those who are taking TRT to be on that, unless you don't want to have kids, which, okay, if you're 55 years old and you're pretty much done with kids, okay, fine, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but is to include that in your regimen. The other thing that I wanted to say was, because I was thinking about all these, I should write these down next time.
These are good. These are good.
Yeah. There was another point that I wanted to make. So where to start in terms of trying to, that's another overwhelming thing. It's like, where the hell do I start? There's so many things that people are talking about. All the social media is like, Peter Audia saying this, Andrew Huberman saying this, Ben Greenfield saying that. Like, where the hell do you start? Go back to just simple, what I'm eating, and then what am I doing?
Who would have thought? It's a crawl, walk, run. What's the first step? Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, it's nuts. But you're absolutely right. Like, you got to say it. Like, start at the beginning. Don't just like jump off your ass doing nothing, no diet, and start slamming peptides in the arm. It's like, no.
Well, people can get very, people, what's the word for this? Choice anxiety, or when you have too many choices and you just don't do anything.
Yeah, no. What's that called? Thing. Get your diet under control and start doing some sort of exercise, I guess.
But there's a term for this, like, kind of in psychology, where you're overwhelmed by choice and then you just don't do anything as a result.
Correct. Yeah, just being overwhelmed. Yeah.
If anybody in the comments knows what I'm trying to say, there's a fancy psychology term for that. Anyway, that's where people end up, they get motivated, they learn all these cool things, like, oh yeah, that's so cool, I want to try that, blah blah blah. And then when they get so overwhelmed by all the information that they're being thrown at them, then then they end up doing nothing. It's just like it's too much. And unless you've been kind of in it for a long period of time and you're sort of slowly doing your things, again, like Will said, one thing at a time, get that going, and then once you've kind of sort of had some mastery over it and you have some control over it, then you move on to the next thing.
You're gonna hate what the word is called.
What is it called?
Yeah, actually, it's
called
multiple
choice
things.
overload.
Just choice overload.
And also, Hex Glenn's right. Also, decision fatigue when you make
decision fatigue. Yeah.
Like,
that's why the Zuckerbergs of the world wear like one outfit a day. Like, I want to switch to that, by the way. I do want to exactly. I want to just make it completely stupid simple, but it's just decision fatigue is a big part of it. Absolutely. We can, for right now, we can take Q&A, you guys want to, from the comments.
Let's do it.
Get them involved. But I saw something in our stream from Mrs. McGettit that in terms of meal planning, what to start with that. What I recommend patients doing is starting off with very simple things. There's two ways to do it. So it depends on where you are in or how much you're willing to cough up in the beginning. Okay. One would be to just keep it simple to just beef, eggs. That's it. Keep it simple. Start there, right? And then slowly add one food every 2 weeks or so and see how you react to that, right? For the most part, beef and eggs, unless you have there's some really, really rare disorders where you're allergic to beef, which I feel bad for you guys, but thankfully it's only one in a million people that have this random allergy. But for the most part, people can handle those two things, right? And then also make sure that's cooked in good oils and stuff like that. You don't have to with steak and eggs. You can just cook it the way it is, but use butter and use fats, right? Start there, and then you can easily meal prep and stuff like that. It's not terribly difficult, and also learn how to cook your steaks too as well. Start with that, and see where you go with that and see how you manage it and how much do you actually need. And also water, by the way, water, none of that fancy schmancy other shit that we see with sodas and all these like random juices that we got. Just start there. Keep it stupid simple, and then start adding the complexity after that, one step at a time. That's how I approach it with folks that just want to just have supposedly come to me just for a restart. Again, we have to understand what that actually means to them. The beauty of language in general is that we interpret in so many different ways. So I have to figure out, my job is to figure out what that means to you. And it's not necessarily what I think it is compared to what you think it is. So that's another piece that we, in those in doctor land have a lot of issues doing, because we just don't have the time to do it, is to really kind of dig in deep as to like what the patient's thinking in that regard. It wasn't that long ago where, I don't know if your fathers or your grandfathers had this experience where doctors came to people's houses.
Yes, that was my grandpa.
That was my father had that experience. We didn't used to have that many doctor's offices, right? Yep. There's a lot you can learn by looking at somebody's house and car, by the way. Yep. There's a lot you can learn about a person just by looking at how the house is run. If the kids are just like absolutely going crazy all over the place and everything's disheveled and whatnot, or versus a clean house all the time and everything's spotless. There's a lot you can learn from that versus a patient coming into the office.
Yeah.
And
the more information, the better.
Yeah. And
the more good information.
I do a lot of telehealth consults.
Yeah.
And I kind of mimic that as much as I possibly can.
Hey, can you walk me around your house? Show me what you do.
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with this, though. You have to be careful, because if I plan it, if I tell them beforehand, be like, hey, I'm gonna want to look in your pantry and see what you actually have in there, right? If I tell them beforehand, they may start hiding shit.
Sure.
and make it seem like it's what it's not. So I actually don't. Like, I actually just tell them, hey, like, put your camera on your pantry right now, and just don't like when in a telehealth visit, be like, yeah. There's a lot that people hide. I'll tell you. Well, I'll just say that.
It's like sometimes, and perhaps I'm the only one guilty of this, but whenever I have people coming over, I always clean my house up much better than like how I normally live in it. So it's like we deliberately show our better selves to people that we want to have a social relationship with. But when we're going to another person for advice, or when we're going to another person to learn some things, then it's probably in our best interest to be like as honest and forthright as possible. So it's like, yeah, doc, I cleaned up my pantry. I knew you would ask, and so I threw away all the Cheetos and I threw away all those soda and all that crap. So
yeah,
that's a thought that I had on that respect.
Yeah. That's some of the things that I do pretty creatively, like when with people that consult with me. And for those of you who might be wondering, like I am trying to expand that piece of my side things, my side projects, so that in terms of like having telehealth consults, if anybody's interested, I am working on that a little bit. There's a process I need to finalize on that, so we'll announce that as soon as that's ready. But maybe we can do as a wait list or something like that. You can DM me and we can I can let you know when that starts. But there's a couple of things that I got to get sorted out in terms of like how to process your information and stuff like that in a private manner. That's the issue, privacy.
Yeah.
Another rabbit hole we can go down is privacy.
That's a whole rabbit hole.
It doesn't exist. That's the bottom line of that one.
as much as I would love to go down like rabbit holes of all the crazy things we could talk about and stuff, we have to start wrapping the show up. Before we do that, though, we've got a couple of chat shoutouts that I think we can roll through. Nate, before I do chat shoutouts, is there anything that you want to cover as far as like conversation goes? Any final questions or anything that we've missed so far?
No, I think we're doing great. This has been one hell of a very valuable show.
Oh yeah.
And like Dr. Chen, Alan, like with the way that you were talking with RG3 and Corey, that was it was quite enlightening. It's one of these that even though I'm literally right here right now on the show, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this because there's a lot of knowledge and it's very dense and there's a lot of things that I can pick up from.
I'll make some
So
shorts.
yeah, there you go. I love it. But anyways,
So follow the channel.
Will,
You'll see. Follow the channel. You'll see the shorts. Yeah.
Unplugged.md. That is
Anyway,
your
sorry.
IG.
Continue.
And then what is your YouTube again?
Oh, at your health unplugged.
Yep.
I
think I got it at the 6:20 or excuse me, 20 after the top of the hour. Yeah, your health unplugged.
A good place to start for labs. So I send my patients to private MD labs. By the way, it's privatemdlabs.com/unplugged. You can get 15% off if you use my promo code unplugged. I do have a panel that I use for my patients. It's like a comprehensive one that I do, and then there's some other ones that you could start with. Those are some good starting blocks for basic panels, and they have some other cool stuff in there too that you can look at. You can look at your own leisure, where you can go down some rabbit holes in that regard. But that's a great place to start, and it's cash. It's a cash price. You don't need a prescription to get it. And the best piece of all is that if you do have insurance, your insurance company is not going to know what test you actually got, because if they actually knew that, they can use that against you, especially when you're applying for like life insurance and disability insurance. Like, be like, why did you get your prostate specific antigen checked? Why did you get your PSA checked? Why did you get, your cholesterol checked all these times? And then they want to probe for that information. And this is why I say private, healthcare privacy is not really privacy, because they have the ability to dig that information up. So yeah, that's what's nice about that, is that when you actually print out a receipt, it's very generic. It just says like general health labs, doesn't really say much. So there's a privacy component to that. That's why I send them over there. And then there's another guy that I get a lot of my information from. His name is Dr. Anthony J. He runs a consulting service where he takes your DNA and he analyzes it. So it looks for a lot of genetic markers that can help with, how you metabolize certain foods, for example. Like for me, like I do poorly with digesting carbs because it causes me to have a lot of brain fog and whatnot. So I just cut back on it. Stuff like that, and not just like your Alzheimer's disease risk markers and all that other good stuff. It goes deeper into that. What supplements could help you the best is a good one, so that you can waste less time on picking which supplements to try. So yeah, he runs his own consult service for those that really want to get into the rabbit hole of their own health to get into. If you do use it and you go through like an Ancestry or a 23andMe service, I highly recommend, this is something I do for my consults, is make a fake name and also try to see if somebody else can pay for it for you, so they don't track your actual name. So yeah, because if you ever, what was the latest Bond movie that Daniel Craig was in? Was it Die Another Day? No.
Ooh,
Tomorrow
man,
Never Dies.
yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies. They used a bioweapon based on a family's DNA, and they killed all people in that specific family. I would not be surprised if they did the same thing as a bioweapon in the future. Just saying. So that's why I highly recommend you do that. So what I do for my patients is that, like, I pay for it and then I give them a fake name. So and handle it for them. And then there, Dr. Anthony J. Actually, he does it too. If you just want to go through him, he does it for you too for an extra fee. But anyway, it's a good place to go. And I think Gary Brecka is another person that does the methylation tests. Anthony J does it too. He just charges less. So if you look at the pricings, and there's more stuff in it too. There's more things to look at with his stuff. So I highly recommend it from a lot of fronts. I do have a promo code for that too, by the way. I think it's unplugged the last time I checked, where you can get 10% off, I believe. So just, and you can just email Dr. Anthony J if you want to with that code, and he'll work it out with you as to get that discount if you do happen to come across that. So anyway, just another shameless plug that I'm going to include there.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on over into do some chat shoutouts, and then we'll
let's do
talk
it.
about where we can all be found and what we've got in the near
I'm gonna
future.
keep talking.
Yes, I gotta cut you off before you go too crazy. We actually do have a question though from a gentleman in the Dallas area, but we'll get to that one when we do in the chat shoutouts.
Sure.
First up in the chat shoutouts, we've got Mr. T Shares. Hey guys, what's up, T Shares? Good to see you, amigo. For those of you guys that don't know what a T Share is a part of the Hex smart contract that tells you how big your share rate is within the entire Hex staking or Hex mining ecosystem. So the more Hex you stake for the longer you stake, the higher your T-share rate. And that's what determines your everyday, the amount of Hex that you receive every day as part of your contract with yourself and the Hex contract and the smart code that you execute on your own machine. So good to see you, T-shares. Welcome to the stream, broski. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got Hex Glenn coming in with decision fatigue. Yes, and that's to answer your question from earlier, Dr. Chen, about what it's called. And then we've also got another one from Crypto Chronic directly. So thank you for that, Hex Glenn. The other one from Crypto Chronic, what up, bros? It's analysis paralysis. That's the one that rhymes. And you know, there's a saying that like if the thing rhymes, then it's like 3 to 4 times more true, no matter what it is. So if you can make
You'll remember it better
rhyme,
for sure.
Exactly.
I like
It's
that one. I haven't heard that one before.
There's something about the human brain. We love stuff that rhymes. So if you guys can think of like oh man, if you guys can find a way to make that you're saying whatever it is rhyme, then people will remember it like 3 to 4 times more powerfully. So if you need
or
to,
alliteration.
just ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw it into ChatGPT or make it salacious or make it sticky or some sort of thing, but making it rhyme is a great way to do it. That's why we all sing songs about lessons in life when we're young. But the final shout out to Katan D. Bakrta. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Do you recommend a couple of places or companies to do your biomarkers?
This is sort of like way down the road, but they are opening a couple of clinics. But in Dallas, let me think.
You want me to look
off the top of my head. So yeah, I mean, the one that I talked about with Anthony J, he does his online. There are plenty of those out there. In terms of just doing a lab. So with private MD labs, by the way, for that is concerned, they actually, you could just type in your zip code and then you could just find the nearest Quest laboratories and you just get it done wherever it's closest to you. So it works for the continental United States, or sorry, United States and Canada, not just the continental United States. So if you want to look through that, they use Quest laboratories as their vessel to obtain labs. Now, in terms of the companies that do the specialized biomarkers locally, I have one that I might be joining, but I can't tell you guys who they are yet because it's not been finalized, and they're supposed to be open coming soon, sometime later this year. So I can't say everything right now, unfortunately.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the only one that I know of that's opening up in Dallas right now.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah. So I don't like local places that can get you kind of get you, like if you want looking for consoles, for example. I don't know them off the top of my head. It's all done telehealth mostly anyway. So the things that I mentioned before as well.
If people want to take advantage of your services specifically, what's the best way for them to reach out and find you? They're hearing this podcast, they see the Degen Roundtable on YouTube for the first time ever, and they're like, you know what? I need some consultation power from Dr. Alan Chen.
Sure.
How do they get a hold of you?
DM me on Instagram is fine.
At unplugged.md.
Yeah, and if you're on the chats,
listening.
Yeah, and then if you're on the Degen Roundtable chat, I'm on Telegram, so you can find me there.
There you go.
It's at Alan ALAN MF Chen.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So,
MF.
I like it. What have you got going on in the near future, Dr. Chen? What's and where can the folks find you? We kind of did that just a second ago, but what's in your scope of work?
What's in my scope of?
Or like not scope of work, excuse me. What's coming up soon to a theater near you? What's new and exciting that's about to be happening that you're planning on doing?
Oh yeah, so I alluded to a bunch of them. So there's a bunch of big issues in healthcare. I'm actually doing a couple of videos on how healthcare has not only become crappy, but also has become unsafe for the healthcare worker. There's been a lot more hospital violence and shootings, unfortunately, that's been occurring lately. And it's a product of how healthcare is just fucked right now. It's a product of all that. Well, long story short, everybody's overworked and underpaid. And it's rearing its ugly head quite in a lot of unfortunate ways. And so I'm doing a sort of a short little bit on that, with also including of like situational awareness and safety and what you can do to hopefully prevent something like that from happening. That's a one big area of interest that I have, actually, is kind of security and SA and whatever. So that's from the YouTube channel's concerned. And if you guys have also things that you want me to talk about on the YouTube channel, I'm always open to that. So feel free to DM me ideas. I'm always looking to see what else I can do. The health atmosphere is so vast that, like, I don't know. I have analysis paralysis with that. Like, what the hell am I going to talk about next? Like, that kind of shit. A lot of decision fatigue with that, for sure. And me personally, like, I have part of the reason why I'm able to do what I do is all the other my extracurricular activities, so to speak. And that's sort of me personally trying to get those ironed out. Unfortunately, tax season's coming, so I have to work with that. I do pay my taxes, and whatnot. And it's just amazing projects coming up, down the pipeline, which I'll leave you all in suspense for that. It's going to be some amazing stuff that I want to create, and it's all based upon kind of my general ethos that I've been discussing already on these podcasts that I've been on already on this show. It's a lot of exciting stuff. I don't want to overwhelm you all with all the information that of my entire life. I want to leave you in some suspense.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chen. We appreciate it. And for the folks at home, you guys will definitely be hearing more about what's going on in the unplugged world here on the Degen Roundtable. As long as I'm friends with Dr. Alan Chen, that'll be definitely a part of your news and information source. Mr. Nate McGettit, the Ascending Man, where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
Well, you can find me either on X, which is right down here, or just simply type in The Ascending Man 6011 on the YouTubes. I've been doing a lot more shorter content videos where it's kind of like I have an idea about something, I would like to get it out there. You can go ahead and chew on it, kind of see if you like the ideas or not, and take them for if you want to, right? It's all about the stories. You're going to believe the story, or you're going to take that information of the story and try and move forward with it. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. Who knows, right? I'm just some peanut brain on the internet. But with that being said, I do have one that I'm going to be making here soonish about Solana, moving it all and rotating all into ETH, because I do believe it is time. There's been way too many top signals with Solana and way too many scary things going on, especially with like how it's been moving up for just all green bars for like 12 months. I don't know. That's a little bit scary. I would not want to sit in something that is beating literally the number 2 and the king of altcoins for 12 months straight. That's a little bit scary. And especially when you start getting billionaires who are just dumping money into ETH and only ETH, and that's it. So there's way too many bullish things happening on ETH currently. That seems kind of like, I wonder what's going on there. And as well as too many top signals in Solana. I do believe that there's going to be a reverse trend, and there's going to be our alt season wave 1, which I also just got done making a video about that. So if you want to learn about that, I accidentally made it 30 minutes. I literally meant to talk for 10 minutes, and I had so much information, I just kept going with it. So with that being said, tomorrow, 6 o'clock on my channel, I'm going to be reviewing the ink printer with Fast Abdul.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. The Ascending Tech is coming back out to dive deep into exactly what this project is, the nitty grits about it. He's actually, you need to tune into this one, because he was doing some research on the actual code of ink itself, and he found some interesting things. And so we're going to dive deep into that as well. Just take a peek and say, hey, what the heck is going on over here? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And that's tomorrow. Again, tomorrow at 6 Central Standard Time, okay, or 7 Eastern Time, wherever you're at. All right. And then, of course, we have book club on Friday, but I will go ahead and let Will do that. But yeah, it might not be until the weekend that I actually get my video on Solana out, simply because I'm literally from today all the way until like even Sunday. I think Saturday is my only day off technically, if I get on the Sunday show, which I think I might. Kind of wanted to start getting on those again now that football season is over. So with that being said, I will pass it on to our fabulous host, the Will Stevenson.
Thanks, amigo. For the folks at home who don't know who I am, again, my name is Will Stevenson. You guys can find all of my social media links at will.pls.fyi. That's my blockchain domain. Oh shit! I think I might have let that. That domain expire. I better rebuy that. You guys can find all of my socials at that linkity link. Yeah, I definitely need to renew that. What else was I gonna say? For Friday's book club, we are covering "Eat Right for Your Type" by Dr. Peter Damano, as well as who is the other one? Catherine Whitney. So we're not going to be doing Miss Manners' Guide to Excruciatingly Correct Behavior, because we come to realize it's an 800-page book with no Audible. So that one's getting pushed off to the near future. And looks like we're going to be doing that one 2 weeks from now or something like that. But yeah, that's going to be book club number 54, because I thought that there was an Audible version, and there is not. And it's a bit of a beast. So we're pushing that one off till later. Other than that, that's what we've got going on, and that's all that I've got. You guys know where to find me. You guys know where to find the Degen Roundtable. Remember to join our Telegram group if you want to be part of the Cool Kids Club. And for those of you that are listening, not watching us live, or that don't have access to this little link that I'm dropping, the way that you join the Telegram is you go to t.me/DRT, Delta Romeo Tango, join now, all one word. That's t.me/DRT, join now. That will bring you into our Telegram chat room, and you can hang out in there and have fun. Talk to us about video games, about sports, about food, about whatever the hell. We cover all sorts of things, and that's where we hang out in our after hours between streaming. And also Agent J does a fuck ton of information and dumping in there about what's going on in the current macroeconomics, and as well as what's going on in the cryptocurrency world. So hop on in there, have a great time. It's going to be kick-ass. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Dr. Alan Chen, for joining us. Thank you to you, Nate, as well. Thank you, RG3 and Corey Geary, if you guys are watching on the replay, gang. We fucking love you guys. Thanks for all of you at home who have been watching us. It's been such a fantastic time. And also, thank you, Mrs. Producer, for doing the fantastic job that you're doing, making us the thumbnails, doing the chat shout-outs, bringing up the chats, switching the cameras around, adding people during live, and all of this stuff. We fucking love it. It's great. So thank you so much, everyone. And this has been an excellent show. And with that being said, I'm here to remind you guys that none of the stuff that we say on this show is financial advice. So remember that. Or health advice. None of this stuff is health advice. We're just a bunch of assholes talking about our feelings on the internet. And we love each and every single one of you. And that being the case, it's time to go ahead and read you guys some things for the end of the show. We, the debauched, in the pursuit of chaotic and good health, enjoying harmony, unite to form a more questionable union and establish strictly unregulated fund to ensure a steady flow of libations, all providing for our collective shenanigans while promoting the art of bad decision makings, while securing the blessings of free-spirited vibes to ourselves and future party animals, do hereby establish this health-oriented podcast aimed at indulgence and excess for all who dare to live recklessly. Will you join us and turn down for what? I want to thank all of you for spending your valuable time with us here on the Degen Roundtable. As Agent J often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you investing it right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Stevenson, but more importantly, you have been watching the Degen Roundtable. Mrs. Producer, go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to Degen responsibly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pulse Chain Tour Masters Golf Tournament 2024. Zenith is making his approach to the green on this sudden death playoff between himself and Reginald Gerald III, who already completed his putt for birdie. Zenith needs to make this putt right here in order for his dreams of winning that jacket to stay alive. Let's see what he does. Oh! Oh, he flubbed it! He missed! He whiffed! He's a loser! Loser! I repeat, RG3 wins! RG3 wins! Don't make mistakes like that guy. Get ready early for Pulse Chain Tour Las Vegas 2025, including the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament from March 6th through the 9th. Sign up early and use the code DGEN at checkout before September 1st to get 36.9% off all of your tickets. Don't miss out on all the fun from the star-studded conferences, golf tournament, and nightly events in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada with all of your friends and favorite Pulse and Hex creators. We cannot wait to see you in Vegas, so until then, DGen responsibly.